Airlines across the country are slashing their flight schedules due to the government shutdown. A former air traffic controller questions whether the changes will help or make things worse.
It's not going to have an impact. It's just going to cause inconvenience.
Bridges in Denver are in bad shape, and some new safety restrictions could impact emergency routes. And students in Aurora prove it's never too early to celebrate Veterans Day.
It means a lot to me because my grandpa was in the military.
All that and more tonight on Next. Flight cancellations have started at Denver International Airport after the FAA asked airlines to cut the number of planes in the air by 10% at 40 airports across the country. United has already canceled more than a dozen flights in Denver today as travelers prepare for chaos. Mark Salinger offers a perspective from a former air traffic controller.
Denver is the third busiest airport in the country. Hundreds of thousands of passengers travel through here every day. So if the FAA cuts 10% of flights tomorrow, that could have some serious impacts here.
Controllers are just being used as a pawn in this whole game of the shutdown.
David Riley is a retired air traffic controller. He worked at DIA for 15 years. From his perspective, reducing air traffic by 10% here won't change much for controllers.
Reducing it by 10%. It's a joke, like I said. It's just something that's being used by the administration to make the flying public feel the pain.
The FAA says the airspace reductions are about safety with an understaffed and overworked controller workforce. David says the only thing that will take the stress off is getting a paycheck.
Whether I'm talking to, 50 planes in an hour or I'm talking to, 45 planes in an hour, it's not much of a difference. It's still work. You just may get done with that bank of traffic a little bit sooner.
The biggest question, of course, is which flights will airlines decide to cancel first? We're already starting to learn some of that information from airlines like United. If you're flying on a small plane to a small airport, you'll likely feel the impact first. United already canceled 20 flights today in Denver, or about 4% of their schedule. That number will likely grow amongst other airlines tomorrow. The airline won't cancel international flights or flights flying to and from United hubs. Instead, most cancellations will come on shorter routes. The majority of United's cancellations today were on United Express flights.
So to give airlines 36 hours notice to start disassembling their schedules is really, really inconsiderate of the FAA and DOT.
Henry Hartvelt is an airline industry analyst. He says schedules are built out months in advance with lots of factors at play. It's very difficult to dismantle them.
And what airlines are going to do, it appears, is focus those cuts on their regional airline operations. For example, United Express, Delta Connection, American Eagle, on routes that have a high frequency of flights.
So DIA asked the FAA if they could pay local air traffic controllers during the shutdown using airport revenue. We know that's the biggest stressor, of course, causing safety concerns for air travel. So that request was made yesterday, and the airport tells me tonight that they still haven't heard back from the FAA about whether they're allowed to do that, Angeline.
So a lot of confusion still, it seems. What is the airport saying about this?
So we asked the airport, hey, how are you planning for the potential chaos tomorrow? Their answer to us was, this is the FAA's decision. This is airlines' decisions on when to cancel flights and which one to cancel. Ask them.
Oh.
So the airport isn't answering questions.
So they're like, hands off.
Hands off.
All right.
We'll see how it goes tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see. And hopefully some good luck for those travelers.
Yes.
Thanks so much, Mark. While 10% of flights may not seem like a lot, we could be talking hundreds of flights every single day. Poof, gone, canceled. Our Chris Vanderveen and photojournalist Chris Hansen shows us what that could look like.
Welcome to Denver International Airport, DIA as the locals call it, DEN as the flight folks know it, the third busiest airport in the country and the sixth busiest in the world. What's that look like? Well, Thursday morning during the 8 o'clock hour, 76 flights were set to fly in from all over. This is what an airline hub looks like, a spider web of arrivals. So what happens when 10% of DIA/DEN capacity is cut? During the 8 a.m. hour, 10% less would have meant 7 or 8 canceled flights. Maybe that Orlando flight, or Knoxville, or Dallas, or Sacramento, Portland, New York, Bozeman, poof, all gone. Maybe you're in the 90% of flights that aren't canceled. Well, good for you. On any given day, DIA/DEN sees 225,000 passengers with 1,600 plus flights. Should that 10% cutback happen anytime in the next few days, we're talking about 160 cancellations a day. Something to keep in mind if you're heading in or out of here anytime soon. Chris Vanderveen, 9 News.
A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to fully fund SNAP benefits in November after the USDA said it would send out partial payments. The administration had previously offered to cover 65% of maximum benefits, but said calculating and processing those partial payments could take weeks or even months. This afternoon's court order from a judge in Rhode Island demands that full payments go out by Friday. But it's unlikely beneficiaries will actually be able to access benefits that quickly. In the meantime, officials in Colorado have been raiding the couch cushions for money to put toward hunger relief programs during the shutdown. State lawmakers have already approved $10 million to support food banks and pantries as they deal with a surge of new customers who are going without federal benefits this month already. And today, Attorney General Phil Weiser announced his office is directing $400,000 from a recent legal settlement to help food banks buy refrigerators or cooling systems to keep perishable food donations from going to waste.
When I've gone to visit food pantries, food banks, one issue that I hear about that doesn't get the attention it needs is infrastructure. Do we have enough refrigerators and the capacity to keep food available and fresh? If we have food that then actually goes to waste, what a tragedy.
The funds come from a recent settlement in a false advertising lawsuit between Weiser's office and Dollar General. Weiser did something similar with a $3 million Walmart settlement a few years ago. That money also went to local food pantries as well. Denver is about to limit fire trucks and commercial vehicles from using 5 city bridges. The bridges are in such poor condition, the weight of the heavy vehicles are a danger. Denver Fire tells our Marshall Zellinger one of the bridge restrictions could cause response times to be slower.
When the garages open at Fire Station 26 in Central Park, the fire trucks will be limited in where they can be driven later this month. The city is about to restrict heavy vehicles on Quebec Street on this bridge, essentially between Smith Road and I-70. So emergency calls that take firefighters north of Smith toward I-70 and Northfield would require a detour to Monaco or Central Park Boulevard. The city is about to post these types of weight restriction signs ahead of 5 bridges that need to be replaced, though a city transportation spokeswoman said these bridges are safe for everyday traffic, even though they'll have these weight restriction signs, essentially limiting fire trucks and heavy commercial vehicles. The 5 bridges include this Quebec bridge over a dirt path and old railroad. It connects I-70 to Smith Road. Smith and Sandown across Quebec will also be weight limited in an area where commercial trailers are parked. The 2 other bridges are 6th Avenue over Cherry Creek between Lincoln and Spear, and one we had not reported on until today, Mississippi over the Platte River at Santa Fe Drive. The passage of Bond Issue 2A just provided funding for the 6th Avenue bridge replacement. The city already has funding for the 3 bridges that impact Quebec Street. The city does not have the money yet to replace the Mississippi Bridge, which is right near where the new Denver Summit Women's Soccer Stadium will be built. The weight restrictions will remain in place until the bridges are replaced. A Denver fire chief told me today there will be delays all around, but the restrictions along Quebec, where Fire Station 26 will have to detour, are the most impactful. I talked with the Colorado Motor Carriers Association today to see if they were told by the city to warn truckers. No. So what happens if a vehicle that's too heavy uses the bridge? The city says it could be cited, but that truckers are aware when they see a sign to not use the bridge. The Federal Highway Administration, though, on a website says that if a truck goes across and it's too heavy for the bridge structure, it could compromise the safety of the structure. But the city made sure that I knew today that engineers say the bridges are safe for non-restricted vehicle use.
All right, so talking about this one detour, that's the long one right off of Quebec, but then what happens to these other bridges? Is that also going to affect them?
Yeah, since they won't be able to go over like 6th Avenue or Mississippi near Santa Fe, for example. I believe the detours are shorter there. When you're talking Quebec, Monaco or Central Park Boulevard. Central Park Boulevard is a much farther detour than getting to Monaco, which might be like a half mile or so. But these other areas like 6th Avenue, maybe you could cut across 5th Avenue or 7th or 8th, and it's not as far to get across. It's just remembering when you're driving the fire truck, I'm sure that engineer needs to know, like, I can't do this anymore and we got to go this way. Otherwise, it's going to be a longer detour if they come up to that bridge and they're like, oh, we weren't supposed to come this way. Yeah,
and we know seconds and minutes matter, right?
Absolutely. We're going to have to keep an eye on the response times for sure.
All right, thank you so much, Marshall. When we come back, some long overdue recognitions for veterans in Aurora.
When I came home, there was no celebrations.
Cherry Creek students pay tribute to our nation's heroes by hosting a Veterans Day parade. And how many words do you think you've read this year? If you're not at 1 million, you're falling behind. That's next. A single day doesn't seem like enough to honor the contributions of our veterans. So ahead of Veterans Day next Tuesday, Cherry Creek Schools is celebrating Veterans Week, starting today with a parade.
Today is our 8th annual Veterans Day Parade here at Altitude. We really love getting our whole community out, all of our students, K-12 students. And what we do is we celebrate, honor, and recognize our veterans, active duty, and first responders. We have Martha Baker, 20-year veteran. She was Lieutenant Colonel. She was a nurse. She is amazing, 98 years old, and she is our Grand Marshal this year. We're very lucky.
I've never been in a parade before. How important it is to have a country and to be a part of it and to know what you're doing by being a part of it. But even the family, the children, they're contributing.
What does Veterans Day mean to you?
It means a lot to me because my mom and dad were in the military. It means a lot to me because my grandpa was in the military. My grandpa.
It means a lot because when I came home, there was no celebrations, and this is just tremendous.
It's such a wonderful world, and there's so much good, so much to be shared, and I'm just grateful that I'm still alive, and I thank God, the joy of being alive, the joy of meeting people, and what they offer to me, and what, if I can in any way offer anything to others, that's important. It will not be forgotten.
Pretty nice day for a parade, Corey. I mean, a little bit unseasonably warm, though. I remember last year at this time, last election day, it was actually snowing.
Yeah, you can get lucky on the first week of November, but normally it's much colder. And like we said, last year we had that snow falling in the area. We haven't seen anything like that at all this year. Great night here in downtown Denver. Temperatures starting to drop right now. 48 at DIA, probably going to drop into the 40s here in the downtown area before the football game is over tonight. So just a little bit on the chilly side, but again, lucky here in November for some great weather. Tomorrow will be one more pretty mild day here with temperatures well above normal across most of northeast Colorado. But looking ahead here at our headlines, we'll have a much cooler weekend with a couple of cold fronts coming in. Next week looks super warm once again, and we have some signs of a winter weather pattern coming between November 16th and 17th. But here's a look at what that weekend is going to feel like here with temperatures just barely making it into the 50s for high temperatures.
And next, we often like to recommend journalism and other work that isn't ours, but is worth your time. For the past 12 weeks, we've been expanding on that by bringing you a multi-part project called Matter of Fact. They're short segments put together by a group of Coloradans passionate about defending good journalism and teaching you how to identify it.
We are all biased. We're human, after all. But good journalists leave their bias at the door when they report on a story. Legitimate newsrooms debate stories and how they're produced with people from many points of view to seek out and check that bias. As a matter of fact, journalism requires objective observation, being at the scene, seeking as many possible witnesses to an event, and asking many sides for comment. looking for past sources and digging into previous stories about what has happened and why.
That's totally wrong. It's immoral.
On the other hand, be aware of commentators acting as journalists. They may look like journalists, but they're not. These people don't do their own original reporting, and they have no intention of being objective. They take the day's news and fill the time with their own opinion, speaking to a political ideology. It's all perfectly legal in a free society, but no way is it news. It's all opinion.
I don't know if this monument to government waste can be stopped, but we ought to try.
This is different from journalists who do occasional commentaries. Their commentaries are clearly labeled as something different than the news.
Pay attention, and you'll start recognizing bias where it exists and where it doesn't. And that's a matter of fact.
That wraps our Matter of Fact series, but we'll be airing a documentary in Town Hall featuring Colorado's journalists at work this Sunday, November 9th. Truth Be Told will air at 10 a.m. on Channel 9 and again the same day, Channel 20 at 7 p.m. You can learn more about the project on 9news.com/freepress. Some students in Denver are focused on becoming millionaires. The first step? Going to the library. That's next. While some kids slack off over the summer, another student hit the books. Since then, he's built up an impressive reading list. Our Byron Reed introduces us to the student in Ruby Hill who was up to the challenge.
An hour later, Zoe and I were standing in front of the Library of Congress.
Reading can take you on a journey.
It's about this kid who goes on these missions.
But for 9-year-old Sam Mercer, turning the pages of a book makes him feel right at home.
You get dragged in by the characters, and then sometimes you don't realize, but you feel like you're inside the story.
Mercer is a 4th grader at Rocky Mountain Prep Charter School in Denver, where last year they challenged their students to read 1 million words before the end of the school year and over the summer.
I feel like I just flew through those stories and got to 1 million words really quickly.
The challenge is part of the school's accelerated reading program that helps students build strong reading habits.
I help launch the challenge with students, but I also help along the way remind them of what we're working for, what goals they have, and help them pick books to help them get there.
Shannon Dorsett is a 4th grade teacher at the school that sets quarterly reading goals for their students. Last year, 44% of their 3rd through 5th grade students read 1 million words, an increase she likes to see.
If you can't read, then there's so many things that you can't access, and I want to make sure that my kids can access all opportunities in life.
For Sam and his classmates, the challenge was an experience.
I enjoyed reading them.
That puts them on a pathway to academic success.
I want to be a programmer when I grow up, so reading will be important to read what I type on the screen.
For next.
It doesn't matter how long it takes you to read it, just make sure you like it.
I'm Byron Reed.
That's a pretty good life lesson. We're back with your feedback next. We love viewer questions on Next, even more so when we can get you a pretty immediate answer. Got this question from a viewer: what does DFD do with an accident on one of those bridges? They responded to us that they said, we will respond. They won't park directly on the bridge if they can help it. And in life-saving scenarios, they would override the weight limit and take emergency action to provide care. Of course, that also puts them in jeopardy. So just a reminder every day to thank our first responders for everything that they do for us. Thank you so much for joining us on Next. We'll see you next time.